If you're pricing out a cross-country road trip, you've probably added up gas and hotels and called it a budget. That's the mistake that makes the trip cost hundreds more than you planned. Because the biggest expense isn't on any receipt. It's the value your car loses with every mile, and almost nobody counts it. Today, we're breaking down the exact math on vehicle depreciation per mile across a 3,000-mile trip with every variable on the table. Most drivers obsess over fuel costs when budgeting a road trip. But depreciation, the steady decline in your car's value as it ages and racks up mileage, is actually the single largest cost of vehicle ownership. The American Automobile Association has tracked driving costs since 1950, when operating a car ran just 9 cents a mile. Today, according to AAA's 2025 study, the average new vehicle loses $4,334 in value per year, which works out to roughly 29 cents per mile over 15,000 miles of annual driving. So how do you actually calculate this for a 3,000-mile trip? There are 3 practical methods, and each one tells a slightly different story. The simplest is the IRS depreciation rate. The Internal Revenue Service sets an annual standard mileage rate, and a specific portion of that rate represents depreciation alone. For 2026, announced on December 29, 2025, that depreciation component sits at 35 cents per mile. Multiply that by 3,000 miles and you land at $1,050. That's the federal government's own estimate of how much value your vehicle sheds on a single cross-country drive. But that number is a blended average. And the second method gets more specific. AAA's industry benchmarks brake depreciation down by vehicle type, and the differences are significant. A compact sedan depreciates at roughly 11 cents per mile, meaning your 3,000-mile trip costs about $330 in lost value. A mid-size SUV runs 16 cents per mile, or $480. Full-size pickup trucks land between 22 and 28 cents, putting your trip somewhere between $660 and $840. Luxury vehicles often exceed 35 cents per mile, matching or surpassing the IRS estimate entirely. The third method is the most accurate, and it's called the units of production calculation. You take your vehicle's purchase price, subtract the estimated salvage value, then divide by the total expected lifetime miles. A $42,000 delivery van with a $2,000 salvage value and a 200,000-mile lifespan works out to 20 cents per mile, or $600 over 3,000 miles. This approach accounts for your specific vehicle rather than national averages, which makes it the most useful for real-world planning. Here's where things get really interesting. Electric vehicles depreciate significantly faster than most people expect. Industry data shows EVs lose value at roughly 27 cents per mile, compared to just 11 cents for traditional gas vehicles. Over 5 years, the average EV loses 57 to 59% of its value, well above the industry-wide average of 41.8%. The Jaguar I-Pace loses a staggering 72%. The Tesla Model S drops 62%. On the opposite end of the spectrum, Toyota dominates value retention. The Toyota Corolla Cross lost only 2.63% over 3 years. That's not a typo. While the average new vehicle sheds 20 to 30% of its value in the same window, the Corolla Cross held nearly all of it. Buy one for $30,000, drive it for 3 years, and you've lost less than $800 to depreciation. That's roughly the cost of a single set of tires. And it's not a one-off. The Tacoma, Tundra, and 4Runner all rank among the slowest depreciating vehicles on the road. The Tacoma has topped resale value rankings for years, routinely retaining around 3/4 of its value after 5 years, when the average vehicle keeps barely half. The 4Runner benefits from a reputation for running past 300,000 miles, and used buyers pay a premium for that reliability. That premium is exactly what protects your resale price. Why does this happen? 3 reasons. Toyota keeps supply discipline, so the used market never floods. Their reliability data is decades deep, so buyers trust high-mileage examples, and demand for trucks and body-on-frame SUVs stays strong even in downturns. Now connect this back to cost per mile. A vehicle losing 50 cents per mile turns a 2,000-mile road trip into a $1,000 expense before you buy a single gallon of gas. A Corolla Cross losing a few cents per mile turns that same trip into pocket change. Same road, same distance, wildly different real cost. And it never shows up on a receipt. There's also a mileage threshold worth understanding. After 100,000 miles, additional mileage has a diminishing impact on a vehicle's resale value because the car is already approaching major wear and tear replacement intervals regardless of what you do next. And here's a number that should stick with you. The moment you drive a new car off the lot, it loses roughly 10% of its value instantly. A $30,000 car becomes a $27,000 car before you reach the first traffic light. So what's the bottom line? When planning your next long-distance drive, don't just budget for gas and hotels. Run the depreciation math for your specific vehicle. Whether you use the IRS rate, AAA benchmarks, or the units of production formula, putting a real number on this hidden cost could change how you think about road trips entirely, and might even make renting look like the smarter financial move. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.